All right, welcome everybody. We are continuing to learn how to start saving money through the Save Pain Free program. You are in session 3, which is all about strategy. More specifically, it's about creating and implementing a strategy for your savings plan. Recall that we're following the 6 steps to save money pain free. Step 0 was converting your desire into action to actually start saving money. Step 1 was about discovering yourself and how you felt about money and your values. Step 2 was about rewriting your money philosophy. And now here we are in step 3 about developing and implementing your money strategy. Next time, in step 4, we will optimize your money habits. In step 5, we will finish things up by creating a system that will maintain itself and help you stay accountable to following through on your strategy. Here in step 3, where we're developing and implementing your strategy, we're going to be determining your goals specifically. So this means we need to translate the things that you value and bring you fulfillment and purpose into financial goals. This is going to align what you actually care about with what you're doing, which will be highly motivating. So this is where we want you to determine your goals. Then we want you to quantify them. In order to make your dreams attainable, you have to quantify them. At the end of the day, it's simple numbers and arithmetic. Find out how much your goals are going to cost and then quantify them. Then we want to help you think about planning how to reach your goals. So you have to figure out the steps you're going to have to take to get to your savings goals. So this is where we want to help you think about how you'll be able to make these things happen and make results happen. So this will be about establishing methods, behaviors, and checkpoints that are going to carry you through to the finish line. So this is where we want you to plan how to reach your goals, and this is what we're going to cover. And then fourthly, we want to make sure that you'll be able to execute on your plan once it's in place. So this is where the rubber meets the road and you have to put your plan into action. This is where small wins and checkpoints will really come into play and will keep you motivated to save if your dream goal seems too far off. So this is where you want to follow through and execute on your plan. So again, just to reiterate, we are in session 3, which is strategy. So what we're going to cover in this third session today, I'll give you our objective for the meeting. We'll go back and reflect on challenge 2 and what you got out of that, and hopefully give you a little bit of time to digest. Then I'm going to give you some kind of like popcorn trivia on strategy in terms of effective strategy for saving money. And then I'll give you what I call the savings start to finish paradigm to give you an overview of how it's going to look like for you. Then we'll talk about SMART goals. Then we'll move into stepping stone motivation, and then finish things up thinking about new behavior, and then talk about results. All right, so our objective for this meeting, so far we've been clarifying your values and reforming your money philosophy. Now it's time to turn talk into action. In this session 3, our focus is on creating your savings strategy. So we want to give you a framework to create your personal savings strategy for you. That's not just canned strategy, canned goals for someone else that don't apply to you. So we want to empower you to build a personalized savings plan with specific goals and a timetable to reach those results. We want you to be able to create your personalized goals, and we want to empower you to formulate your savings plan of action. So before we go any further, I want to give you some time and opportunity to reflect back on Challenge 2 and what you got out of that. Challenge 2 was about a mental reboot with respect to your money philosophy. We wanted to format your mental hard drive so that you could start over and build new money concepts in your mind. Recall that tabula rasa is Latin for blank slate. So our goal there was to create for you a tabula rasa in your mind with respect to money that enabled us to write new scripts about money in your head. So the purpose in that exercise is to have you acknowledge the scripts on which you were operating were not working. Because if they were, then you wouldn't be taking this program in the first place. So that establishes the need to wipe your slate clean. And that's okay because nobody is perfect and we don't all do exactly what we should be doing all the time. We don't all accomplish what we want to accomplish. We don't save what we wish we would save. That's part of being human. Further, Nobody is perfect on their own. So remember, you took the first step when you converted your desire to save money into action by enrolling in this Save Pain-Free program. Subtly, that's admitting that you don't have all the answers to save the way you want to be saving on your own. And that's a good thing. That takes humility, and that's how you start learning and making progress. The other thing I really wanted you to get out of Challenge 2 was establishing a relationship with potential mentors in your life. So the purpose here was to begin to gather more wise counsel from sources outside yourself and this online program. If you can't trust your own beliefs and attitudes about money to help you save, then you want to find people whose beliefs and attitudes you can trust. So this is where getting financial wisdom from mentors and allowing them to pour into you is going to make a world of difference in you growing up more quickly with respect to money and achieving success in your savings and everything else. So think about the feedback that you got from mentors with respect to those questions in Part B of Challenge 2. Really take to heart what others are telling you and foster those relationships with mentors and keep those ongoing, because that's going to come into play in the last step of maintenance of your system. You want to make sure that those relationships are building with those financial mentors. So be willing to receive input from others with respect to finances. So Part C of Challenge 2 was about getting some insight from the Bible on what it has to say about money. There's a lot of biblical wisdom in the Bible about money. There's a lot we can learn from it. So the purpose there was to consider what financial wisdom you might gain from the Bible. And the thing is, the Bible takes a very different approach than our culture and natural inclination to money. So it's a very healthy thing to be getting that kind of input. And I just wanted you to meditate on those verses and see what insights you could glean from them for yourself beyond what I have written in the challenge. So hopefully you got something out of that. It's definitely worth it. Go back and read over those again some other time. The fourth part of the challenge was about a reboot. The purpose there was to have you start writing your new scripts on your blank slate. So with the brand new perspective, you could start to save money from a completely different paradigm than what you had previously been operating on. So hopefully that's where you're at now and that you've been able to digest some of those things and internalize them for yourself. Keep that in mind as we continue to go through the program. All right, now talking about some strategy trivia. My first trivia for you is that you want to make your money work for you, not against you. This is huge. It sounds simple. It sounds super intuitive, but so many people ignore it and don't think about the consequences. But let me explain it to you. So you've got you and you've got your money. So your money is either going to work for you or it's going to work against you. If you are a borrower or a consumer, you are going to move towards the left end of this fulcrum, you could say, and it's going to tilt you over. And you're going to become a borrower and your money is going to work against you. But if you move over to the other side of the fulcrum and it tilts to the right, you're going to become a lender or an investor, and your money is going to start working for you. That's what we call passive income. The thing is, when you borrow money, you pay interest on that money. And that means you're consuming less than if you never even borrowed in the first place. So when you're borrowing money, you're being charged interest on the money that you're borrowing, and your money is working against you. When you're investing, your money is out there gaining interest. Money is working for you. You're getting passive income without even doing work, and it's working for you and going in your favor. So the strategy takeaway here is that you want your money to work for you, not against you. And with respect to debt, I just want to point this out while we're here, is that there's two kinds of debt. There's consumer debt and investment debt. Consumer debt is borrowing to buy something that you don't expect to get more money back for later, like a car, for example. A loan, a credit card, a mortgage is not free money. You owe it back, and it reduces the amount you can consume later. So consumer debt inhibits opportunity because interest compounds. On the other hand, investment debt is borrowing to buy something that you do expect to get more money back from in the future. So this might be like a house or something. When you borrow money for a mortgage to buy a house, you're hoping that the house increases in value over time and that you get more money back for it in the future than you did when you first borrowed money. So that would be an investment debt versus the car, where you know you're going to get less money back for the car in the future, even though you borrowed money to buy it. So that would be consumer debt. Consumer debt is on the left side of this fulcrum and is not good. Investment debt is on the right side of this fulcrum and is good. All right, strategy trivia number 2. Make your spending less than your income. This is so simple, but it's just translating the parable from last time about the boy with the water bucket to actual strategy for you to implement with your goals. So remember, the boy couldn't fill up the bucket because he kept letting water slosh out. With your money, that translates to making your expenses less than your income. If your expenses are greater than your income, your financial situation is always going to be unsustainable, by definition. Your income must be greater than your expenses. That's how you create surplus. Of course, it's always great if you can increase your income, but that's another lesson for another day. That's not what we're covering here in the program. We're focusing on expenses and spending. So I'll stay in that area for now. So the trick here is to optimize your spending so that the water in your bucket can start to build up faster and not leak out. So optimize your spending. Optimizing your spending is going to be a key part of your strategy, which we're going to get into in session 4. Strategy trivia number 3. You want to differentiate between your needs and wants. This is probably the most impactful way you can make a difference in your expenses. Once you start to realize what you actually need and what you don't actually need, and things that are just superfluous, it starts to make a world of difference in your finances. When you get down to it and you start to think about it, all you really need, your most basic needs are food, drink, and shelter. After that, you can survive, and everything else is pretty much a luxury, to be honest. That's just a matter of how much luxury you feel like you want. When you get down to it, most of your expenses are non-essential, or there is a spectrum of choices. So really think about that as you make choices to buy or not buy things. If you think about food, you need that. If you think about entertainment, you don't need that. Or there's a spectrum of choices for entertainment, some being more expensive than others. So this is where if you let your wants melt away and you just really focus in on your needs, then you become very grateful and appreciative of everything that you have. And then you don't need all the things that are superfluous and fluff in your life. And by having that attitude of gratitude, you can appreciate the things that you have, and it'll be so easy to make sacrifices which once were hard but are now pain-free. So if you're willing to, then you can think about opportunities to save money by making changes or giving certain things up. So for example, you might move to a smaller house or rent out a spare room in your place or take on a roommate or own a cheaper car because they lose value so quickly. Or if you buy groceries and cook at home instead of eating out, or if you get a cheaper cell phone plan or cut the cable, any of these ways could save you a ton of money. So it's just a matter of being willing to take that change and live within your needs and not in your wants. Living more according to your needs and less according to your wants. Strategy trivia number 4. Get rid of temptation from your life, or at least remove it as much as possible. So if you think about it, if you're trying to go on a diet, it doesn't help your success to keep cake in the fridge and cookies in the pantry. You make it easier on yourself by keeping those things further away and less convenient. So as they say, out of sight, out of mind. It seems funny that we're that easy to coax into things or keep away from things, but sometimes it really is that simple. Keep it out of sight, keep it out of mind. If you are very susceptible to eating cake, you don't want it around you. If you're very susceptible to spending money, then don't keep it around you. If you have the propensity to overspend, it's not going to help you when you randomly browse Amazon or walk through the mall. if you have a habit of thinking your credit card is access to free money that you don't have, it doesn't help carrying around a card with a $5,000 credit limit. You get my point? So instead, you either don't go on Amazon or to the mall, or you write down the things that you're searching for before you go and you stick to the list. The point is, you want to create a bigger gap between your compulsions and your actual actions. So you want to create a bigger gap between your compulsions that hinder your ability to save and you're acting on them. So maybe that means only carrying around a debit card instead of a credit card if you have to. Do whatever it takes to remove the temptation to spend money and blow your savings away. Strategy trivia number 5. Pay down high interest debt first. So as you create a surplus, aka savings, you want to use that money in the most effective way possible. The way you do that is by paying down high interest debt right away. Remember, debt makes your money work against you and investments make your money work for you. So you want to graduate from being a borrower to becoming an investor ASAP. Any debt you have up here in the red zone is a DEFCON 1 emergency. If you have debt at 15+% interest, it's like trying to run up a Stairmaster with a backpack on. It's just like you can't do it. You're going to get exhausted trying to deal with it. If you don't get rid of it right away, you're in for a world of hurt forever. Credit card debt is incredibly high interest, so you're talking 15-20% or whatever. That means if you're running a $1,000 balance, you might as well be tearing up $200 every year instead. Think about this. Just by paying off a $5,000 credit card balance, you could save yourself an extra $1,000 a year, just alone by paying off the credit card balance. Get that paid off ASAP. Pay off your credit cards. That's one of the best investments you can make. Guaranteed return on your money. Do it as soon as you can. After that, debt that's between, say, 10 and 15% is still extremely bad, but work on that after you've addressed the red zone. You want to take it sequentially. Then if you have debt between, let's say, 5 and 10% interest, that still kind of hurts, but it's like a treadmill with incline instead of a full-on Stairmaster. So you can deal with that afterwards. Get your credit cards and whatever high interest debt you have sorted out first, and then you can deal with, say, student loans or whatever else. And then lastly, I'd say any debt that you have that's less than, say, 5% interest is really not so harmful and probably even good, but I'm not going to get into that for simplicity's sake here. But just if you have interest, like let's say a mortgage that's 3-4% or something, that's probably good debt to have. So don't worry so much about paying those off. Summary here, pay down those high interest debts immediately. It's going to be a key point to your strategy in reaching your savings goals.